Thank you for joining us on Data Cloud Now, where we bring you the latest in all things data in business and industry. I'm now joined by Preetham Peddanagari, partner UK Financial Services Technology Consulting Leader at EY, along with Dan Waters, Vice President EMEA Partners at Snowflake. Gentlemen, such a pleasure to sit down with both of you.
Thank you, Ryan. Good to be here.
Dan, we're in London at Snowflake's Data Cloud World Tour. The buzz is all around us. What are you hearing and what's top of mind?
Well, what an honor and a privilege to be here, man. As you can hear from the noise in the background, it's a really vibrant, really energizing atmosphere. You know, we've got over 2,500 people here today. We had nearly 5,000 registrations. 37 partners are participating in terms of what you see here on the floor. So it really is just a privilege to be in and around this community where partners are really innovating around the data cloud, really bringing real value and expertise and deep industry knowledge and solutions into our partners to really dazzle them and really accelerate their value from the data cloud. So really, yeah, amazing community. Great to be here with Preetham as we talk through what we're doing with EY as we accelerate our journey with them from an EMEA perspective. EY have been a phenomenal partner with Snowflake for many years. But up until relatively recently, we haven't had the same scale in EMEA with EY as we've enjoyed in North America. So really great to be here to talk through what we're doing together and how we accelerate our journey together.
Looking forward to diving in. Preetham, at EY, you are striving to be builders of a better working world. As it relates to the UK, what trends are you noticing? And how does the data cloud really help power your customers' needs?
Thank you. Firstly, great to be here and thank you for inviting me there. You know, as Dan says, there's a real buzz around this place, and it's great to see the vibrancy. Going back to your question, I mean, ultimately the way we translate our vision is about building a more inclusive, a safe, and a scalable financial services ecosystem. And if you look at some of the issues our clients are facing, I mean, the reality is there is a lot of legacy that's built up in the data space, I think, in the last kind of 5 to 10 years, which organizations have to kind of work through. We're also seeing organizations now have a clear view that actually the future of data is decentralized through the creation of data products, and also what we're seeing is actually 50% of the data is actually being created outside of the organization boundaries, mobile devices. And so you start to think about how do you actually solve this conundrum where you have a lot of legacy and there's a lot of distributed, which is where I think kind of the Snowflake real sweet spot. And I love that kind of line in the keynote today as well, which is about bringing the workloads to the data and not the data to the workloads. And I think that really offers a pragmatic solution in terms of how do you work through a plethora of different data platforms and still deliver tangible value to the business. And I think that's what financial services clients need.
Gentlemen, I want to take a step back and explore a topic that is really top of mind for most executives, and that's Gen AI and LLMs. What impact do you see this technology having in not only the near term, but in the years to come? Dan, would love your perspective.
Yeah, absolutely right. And obviously it's on the tip of everyone's tongues around Gen AI and what we'll do in terms of the industry and the business benefits that we can derive and help our customers derive from Gen AI. Really, it's all about potential. And I think Gen AI and LLMs absolutely bring enormous potential, but it is only potential unless you unlock the power of proprietary enterprise data. And for us at Snowflake, that's about having, secure, governed access, single copy, to be really able to unlock the enterprise scale that data can bring to an organization. So historically, the most advanced users of proprietary data internally have had to be the technical users, because the business users themselves couldn't extract that value without support from data scientists or without technical expertise. So the power that LLMs bring and Gen AI brings, being able to talk to that data in natural language, being able to run queries, being able to look at impacts of other third-party data sets in terms of, for instance, what does supply chain look like? What does the weather look like? And what impacts that going to have on my sales forecast pipeline? So being able to actually naturally query that language in your own, in natural language without having to rely on outside technical sources or inside technical sources, or maybe even third-party resources to access that data is hugely, hugely powerful. So from an enterprise perspective, obviously the explosion of data is just phenomenal. It's everywhere. How do we keep that under control? How do we keep it governed? How do we keep it secure? So really, what we're excited about is working with organizations like EY to realize realize this value and to really bring that to the customer and in terms of industry expertise.
Thank you for that perspective, Dan. Preetham would love your thoughts as well.
Yeah, and I agree with everything Dan said. I mean, my view is I think we're in a mind share moment at this stage before we kind of go into market share. But it's got a potential for a huge transformative effect. I mean, the concept of using natural language to converse with an organization, I mean, that's so radical to what we are today, which is, two-dimensional kind of, point and kind of click interface. But I mean, for me, I think where the winners and losers will come in, ultimately, the technology is being democratized. Everybody's got access to it. So I think the winners will be, Dan's point about organizations that are able to exploit proprietary data to kind of, enhance the models. I think the people dimension and the skills become hugely important in here. Moving away from where we put a lot of value on process, actually, I think process becomes less important and output becomes more important. And people starting to think more as a data scientist in their role as an organization. And I don't mean somebody who can code as a data scientist, but actually how are you able to exploit the organization data to get to the right output? So I think we are in the early stages, but this is moving at an exponential pace. So I think we'll see some radical changes to the industry.
I think data literacy is going to be so important over the coming months to years. Gentlemen, such a pleasure sitting down with you. I know we've covered a lot, but now let's look towards the future. What's next for Snowflake and EY? Preetham, if you'd like to kick us off.
Yeah, and thank you. So, I mean, we are super excited by the EY Snowflake partnership, partly because, the potential of the use cases Snowflake can apply to clients' problems, some of the things I've kind of talked about, especially in the context of heavily regulated financial service environments. We think this is we want to double down. We're doubling down, continuing to invest. But also equally, we've seen the success our colleagues have had across the globe in the US specifically. So from our perspective, what we want to do is identify domains where we're really strong: finance transformation, risk, remediation, banking transformation, insurance, and let's identify use cases that we can take to clients to deploy and scale. But hugely excited.
Really appreciate your time and insights. Dan, anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, just to add to what Preetham talked about, the partnership with EY is incredibly exciting for us in EMEA. As I said, we're really starting to get to the point where we're getting real momentum across the EMEA markets on multiple different industry fronts as well, where we're really leveraging EY's deep expertise and their customer experience and how we go deep in some of our industry clouds and solutions and how we take that out to the customer. I mean, our mission is to mobilize data, getting rid of the data silos that are pandemic across the customer estate. So we've got to do this in a secure and governed environment, and we've got to make sure that our customers can make the most of their data. And I think with partnerships like the one we've got with EY that we continue to build and leverage, our customers are in great hands, and we're really looking forward to expanding that as we move forward with EY and EMEA. So great time to be partnering, looking forward to the future.
Well, gentlemen, such a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me on DCN at Data Cloud World Tour London. Looking forward to continuing the conversation in the not too distant future.
Thank you. And thanks for having me.
Thank you for having us, Ryan.
And for the audience watching, I'm Ryan Green with Data Cloud Now. I'll see you soon.